character, you're the other side. You're not the actors now, you're production. And so they kind of treat you, like production. But it was the easy part for me. I mean, the difficult part was the politics. Okay, now you can take a picture. Not so close.
Hi, I have like two short questions. Who is by far your favorite cast member to work with on the show?
I can't answer that. They all were brilliant and fun, and I just can't answer that. Patrick. I just think about it. I can't answer that. Everybody was great. So.
Okay. Another one that maybe you can again. What was your favorite episode?
Well, that's easy. Out of all the Star Treks that I was involved in, there were two on Deep Space that were my favorite, which is Once More Into the Breach and Soldiers of the Empire. And it's very funny, when I did Next Generation, my two favorite weren't Klingon episodes. They were other episodes that I thought were brilliant, but when we did these, I thought that they were amazing. Thank you.
I'm been a fan from way back, but finally got my husband into the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. We binged Deep Space Nine, and after watching the whole season, all the seasons, his only question is, how do Ferengis and Klingons, the actors with the fake teeth, how do they kiss with the fake teeth, and how hard is that? And also, my question is, did it change the way you emoted as, in your character? Because, was it hard to talk with the...
It was a little difficult to talk with. It wasn't so bad. But sometimes, the language would, you'd be talking and it just, but it wasn't difficult. I think that, and also with the teeth and kissing and everything, the actors that you were kissing, Terry and Marina and Nicole DeBoer, they asked that you take out the false teeth. Which is fine.
Thank you.
That's a reasonable request. Hey.
Hey, how you doing today?
Good, how you doing?
I've heard rumors they're working on a new Star Trek TV series.
No. Oh, there is a new Star Trek TV series next year. Yeah.
Are you in it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Now imagine this. If I was in the world of Star Trek, alien, whatever, what do you think I'd be? I just have to know. He's the man to ask. If you were the producer, would I be, what would I be?
You'd probably be that character, the Wayun in Deep Space. What's the name of that? No, Wayun. What is he? Wartime.
Okay.
That's what you would be.
All right, well, thank you much.
Yeah. By the way, it's not a compliment.
Good afternoon.
They shouldn't have me do panels on Sunday. It's the last day, and I get just a little cranky pants. And a little, like...
A little sassy.
A little sassy. Yes, okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Can you speak some Klingon for us?
I don't, the only thing I know of Klingon anymore is Nook Nek, which is, what do you want? Thank you, you're welcome. Very interesting thing about the language, when I got the call to come in and read these, they were going to be Klingon. My girlfriend at the time bought me 3 or 4 Klingon books and said, hey, you got to read these. And so I read them, and I kind of got the idea of what the original and the movies were trying to do with Klingons. And that kind of helped. And one of the first things in one of the books, the Klingon English Dictionary, is "Nuknek." So, and I said, "What do you want?" I went, "Oh, I see. You know, they don't greet each other like, 'Hi, Bob. How are the wife and kids?' You know, it's so that was I don't know what that was anyway. So, go ahead.
The episode where you had the spinal injury, they replaced your spine. That one is one that I always comes back to me. So I was wondering if you had any reflections on that particular episode.
You know, I thought it was. I look at it. It was on recently, and I thought it had a really good kind of messages and things like that, morality, which is what we do in the Next Generation and the original shows. Morality plays every week, and so it was in a good morality. The only thing was that it was very difficult to act in that because you kept falling asleep. You know, you were lying down in that heavy, warm clothing, and the lights are on, and you know, and oh, Michael, could you give us 10 minutes? You know, and you don't want to get up, and, you know, so you sit there and you fall asleep. You know, and it's like it was always, which is very strange, but yes, that was the kind of difficult part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for the chance to speak to you.
Sure.
I yesterday heard from Robert Ricardo, the doctor from Voyager, and I'm trying to find a little bit more information. He said that the cast of DS9 was kind of very serious, whereas all the other series had a lot of very fun casts behind the scenes. Do you want to say anything about it? Or
Well, I don't know about the other shows, Enterprise and Voyager, but yeah, it was a very, very serious set, and coming to that set so close after being on Enterprise, I mean on Next Generation, was, you know, interesting. I mean, they were quiet, and they spoke, you know, like we were yelling and screaming. We did our work when they said action, we were there. When they said cut, we were done. You know, and we were all over the place and laughing and joking, and you know, and you go over there, and they were very like, you know, Mr. Brooks, we're ready for you now. Yes, Mr. Dorn. No, Michael, not Mr. Dorn. No, but we call everybody Mr. Dorn. Even the women we call Mr. Dorn. You're way ahead of me. But yeah, it was very serious. But I think once I got there, maybe they loosened up a bit, because I just couldn't, you know, especially looking like we look, you couldn't go through a whole day without thinking, you know, that you look a little ridiculous, you know, and you had to think about it, you know, and you're serious about what you're doing, you love your work, but it is great fun, you know, and so, but I think I'd program out of that after the first 6 months or so.
do you want to pick your favorite series?
No, I can't pick a favorite series. No. Yes.
Hello, Mr. Dorn. It's nice to meet you. It seems like Star Trek started this whole thing with nitpicking episodes and finding this thing wrong with it, and now with the internet, it's just exploded. Was there anything that someone found wrong in the Next Generation episode that you're like, why? Where was that? Like, do you notice these things, or is it going back watching them and you say, oh yeah, we made a mistake there, or we made a mistake? I don't know if you remember.
I don't think that. No, we were pretty good. Although I think that you could always find something, but there was nothing really that stood out in the episodes. Although we used to sometimes look at the script, and while we were acting, we couldn't figure out what we were saying. You know, we had no idea what we just did, you know, because there was one episode, I can't remember it was, you know, we'd say our lines and we go, what did I just say? And Marina would go, I don't know. And, but no, I mean, I'm sure you can pick up, there's a lot of
Well,
stuff.
there's things like data using contractions, you know, picking out all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Getting on the turtle lift at one floor and then leaving on the other one, even though they didn't go anywhere. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm responsible for this, I just read all of this. So I just didn't know if there was anything that stood out to you.
I mean, you know, it just is, it's just one of those things where I think if you look close enough, I mean, there's some things that are, I'm sure, are blatant, but I never thought there was anything really blatant, where it's just like, okay, that's ridiculous, you know, or something like that. So,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Hi, Michael. You've done voices for so many different characters, and we pick it out right away. Oh, Goggles, that's him, and whatever. Are there any specific characters you provided voices for that were extra challenging, or a favorite that you have?
My absolute favorite was Iron Weasel. I thought that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for a lot of reasons. I mean, it was my first real job in the business where I was voicing an animated character, and it was an ongoing animated character, which I never had done that before. But also, if you look at that show and the things they do, they push the envelope a little bit in terms of, you know, what they did, you know, in terms of their storyline. You know, like there was one storyline where I had made a Tesla coil, and Baboon always mangles the English language. And so he would say, oh, you think you're so big because you made a testicle. And I go, can you say that? You know? And there was always these little, and I love that. I like to push the envelope. So, thank you. Hi. Oh, put that thing down. No, put that thing. I'm so mean today, aren't I?
You're just sassy. We talked about that.
Yeah.
You guys gotta be in the moment.
Hey, what?
I said you guys have to be in the moment. Just be in the moment.
Thank you.
Welcome.
But I come all the way to Brazil to see you guys, and I see, for me, Star Trek's the greatest. Star Trek in general is the greatest sci-fi ever in 50 years, and you are the actor who most appeared in Star Trek. How it is to be a sci-fi legend?
A sci-fi legend.
You're not wrong.
It's lonely at the top. It's really difficult to be up there when everybody else is down there. But I don't really look at it like that. I mean, I understand, but I've always just never really thought of it much. I didn't until maybe 2004, 2005, when a friend mentioned that, hey, Michael, do you know what you've done? Because I was complaining about something in the business, and he said, no, you gotta be, you should. And so I went, yeah, it's pretty cool. But I actually, and I'm not trying to be, humble pie or anything like that, but I actually think that the whole Star Trek thing is more of the icon than the actors. I mean, it's almost like one of those things where Star Trek kind of lives on, and all kinds of ruminations. But I think it's cool that that people like Worf, and that he has become one of the most popular characters. I think that's cool. The only thing that makes me feel a little concerned is that somebody said one time, Michael, you'll be dead, and Worf will still live on. I go, God, I wish I could kill him before I go. Anyway,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Bye.
I was just wondering, how long did it take on a daily basis to do the makeup for your Worf character, and was it a difficult process?
The physical, the whole process?
Yeah, of doing the makeup.
It was, they started out to be 3 hours. And it was very funny because we started filming at 7 in the morning, so I had to be there at 4.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane for a while. And, but it was basically that I'd come in and they put this kind of stuff here that they could glue on the headpiece to. So they put stuff here, and they put stuff here, and they put stuff here, and then they put on the headpiece and they glued it down, and then they painted it. They painted me to match the headpiece, and then they stuck the wig on, and that took a while, and they stuck the beard, and it just was this very, very tedious process.
Did it get any easier over the years? Or
Well, you know what happened the second season, I had it. I mean, I couldn't do it anymore, not because of anything, but because it was, my skin was actually rebelling. I mean, I was starting to get really bad lesions, and my nose was blistering, and I mean, it was ugly. And finally I said, Marina was watching them do that one day, and she goes, "Oh my God, Michael, look at your nose. Your nose they burned your nose, And I just went, you're right, this is it. And I would ask them a few times before, "Hey, could you guys do it?" "No, this is it. This is all we know how to do, And at that moment, I stopped the guy, and I went up to the producer's office, and I said, I love this show. I love the actors. I love the part. I love working here, but I got to have a career after this is over, and I'm not. I'm going to have this problem." And to their credit, they said, "Okay, what can we do?" And they talked to the makeup people. And interestingly enough, the makeup people had some suggestions at that point, which wasn't very cool. But they got it manageable. And the funny thing is, they look at an actor as like a mannequin. They don't look at them as a person that, and they were trying to figure out, what to do. And I said, "Look, and it was a whole thing with the makeup and the hair and everything. And I said, "Look, you paint the headpiece, and you look at it, you stand back, and you go, wow, that looks good, this looks good. And then you put it on me, and then you paint me to match the headpiece." I said, "Why don't you paint the headpiece to match me?" I mean, it's the same thing. And they go, and it's one of those things where they go, "No, Michael, that's no." And then they go, "You know what, we have a good idea. Why don't we paint you?" But, and the hair thing too, is that they never could get the hair right. For 4 years, the hair was curled and bouffant. And, they used to have a name for me. They called me Lena Horn. It was beautiful. It was always, and I said, Worf wouldn't get up in the morning and be going, "No, that's not right." And they said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, the hair thing is very important to Klingons, obviously. So he'd get up in the morning, he'd tie it back in a ponytail, and he'd go to work. And they go, "Well, we don't know, Michael." I said, if you did it that way, it would save 20 minutes off the makeup time, which means you wouldn't have to pay me that much more overtime." And they go, "Wow, that's a great idea, Michael. Why don't we do that?" So it became, it was almost like that the makeup had a life of its own, which was very interesting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I actually heard that the original prosthetic was stolen off the set, and it was replaced in season 2.
You know what? Probably. I do know that they used the same, the first 2 years, they used the same headpiece over and over again. But after the second season, they made 4 or 5 a week. They had a bunch, so.
Yeah, I wonder who stole it. It's just like sitting on someone's nightstand right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they're like, at this point, they're going, "God, I'm really glad I stole that." Risked jail time so that,
Hi, Michael. You're my favorite character, by the way, on the show.
Thank you.
And the previous gentleman stole my question. I was going to ask you the same thing. So I would like to ask, would you mind speaking as your character Worf a little bit?
What would you like me to say, sir? sit down.
Hello, so who do you think is a better Starfleet officer, Cisco or Picard?
Picard. Cisco, he yells too much. He's always, I mean, it was so funny. I wish they had written something in the show where I said, "Man, Captain, you yell quite a bit." Because he yelled at me, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, you know. Okay. But yeah. Thank you.
Your character Worf is quite amazing, and he's also quite obsessed with Klingon culture and honor and all that. What is your personal opinion on the Klingons and all of their aspects?
Personally, I think when I grew up, you know, in the 60s when they came on, my brother and I were, you know, 8, 9, or 10 or something like that, and we loved it because I thought it was, but my favorite was always the Klingons, just because they were just, you know, kind of guys. They're like, you know, up there, pirates and swashbucklers and stuff like that. But interestingly enough, I loved them even more later because they were very eloquent, very learned, and very sort of, you know, but I find that the analogies are pretty cool to, or pretty close to what I believe that, you know, we should be, which is that, you know, you look at a culture and you automatically label it wrong or bad or something like that. You want to destroy it. Bless you. And but you realize that, you know, like a song that Sting did one time where he says, you know, that you know, the Russians love their children just like, you know, as much as we do. And so, you know, the Klingons, for whatever they are, you know, pretty cool. I mean, in terms of they're loyal and they speak their minds. They have their issues like everybody, but I always thought they were just great. And interestingly enough, in Deep Space, they seriously became more eloquent, you know, and more lyrical or poetic, and, you know, the things that they said at the end of this one show called Once More to the Breach, where the old Klingon core dies. Finally, he gets the last battle. He hypo-sprays me, and I'm lying on the ground, and he makes this beautiful speech. I can't really, you gotta watch the show, but he makes this beautiful speech, you know, and it was riveting, you know, and I think that's what they've become. And I wish that they had kind of gone further with that, you know. In fact, the Star Trek, or my spinoff that everybody's been talking about, we've heard about, that I've written, dealt with getting further involved in their culture. It wasn't a Star Trek in terms of running around in the Enterprise or a Starfleet vessel. It was about the Klingon Empire. But I wish they had kind of continued that, because it would have gotten much more Shakespearean. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
Hi, Michael. Between the Star Trek series, do you have any memorabilia that you've kept and displayed in your house? And if so, what prominently have you displayed?
I have Patrick Stewart. The person that you've seen since then is not really Patrick Stewart. He's in my closet. He's in the closet.
Oh, that's a Samsung?
No, you know, I don't believe in that stuff. Some people do, you know, but I just, when I was over, I kind of, you know, went, okay. I mean, it was funny, the one thing that I did keep, and I don't know why, I seriously can't tell you why.
upstairs.
But when you start working at Power, they give you a parking spot, which means you don't have to go in the guest gate, you go in the performer or employee, put your little card there, gates open. Oh, and I love that for some reason. I don't know, it just reminded me of old Hollywood. And so when the show was over, they said, "Oh, yes, Michael, we want you to turn in your parking card." I went, "No." And I still have it too. So I guess I did take something with that. But no memorabilia, no. Thank you. Hi.
Hi. One of the reasons I I really love sci-fi is because it's always inspiring people to come and make new technology and new innovations, a lot of the time based on what we see. Is there anything that working in sci-fi has, like any technologies that you've gotten really hyped about by working in sci-fi?
The iPad.
Yeah.
It's, before the iPad, we had an iPad. It was, and I didn't think about it until long after the iPad was out there. I'm going, that's what we used to do. We used to have it floating around and stuff like that. I mean, that's the technology, you know? And Gear S2, you can actually talk. You don't have to go like, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So I think that, you know, I don't know what fuels, which one comes first, you know, the idea or the technology. And not, you know, the idea or our technology. I like to think probably that the people that made the iPad and that did all this stuff were Star Trek fans and saw that. They said, what a cool thing, you know? Or did engineers already have that on the drawing board and our guys, you know, saw that and said, okay, well, this is a cool thing, let's put it in. But that's it now, and I think they also tried to, a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, they had a prize for developing a tricorder, a medical tricorder. And somebody won the prize. I mean, and they're like going, oh, come on, of course, you know, because, I mean, this thing, you know, I mean, you know, your heartbeat, your steps. So yeah, I don't know what drives it, you know, it's very interesting. But I do know that when I first got on the show,
He was telling me to exit stage left.
that when I got the show, I asked them specifically how the Enterprise goes into warp. And it goes, well, okay, it goes. And I said, was that real or is that just, you know, a cool thing that you guys thought of? And they said, no. They said they talked to scientists at all over the place. And they said that's what they feel it's going to look like. So I don't know, but it's a cool thing.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a very cool question.
Hi.
Hi, pleasure seeing you, Mr. Dorn. For many years, we only saw you in makeup, so now it's great to see you on TV with your actual face. And big fan of the show Castle, which unfortunately ended. You know, it's great to see you on there. I wondered if they fit, it's such a geeky show and its references and everything, did they seek you out for that role? Because of that pedigree, you know, sci-fi pedigree?
Oh, Castle is a geeky show?
I think it is. There's a lot of episodes that are like sci-fi cons, horror.
Oh, no, it's not a geeky show. No, they are. I actually, very interesting story that one of the showrunners or the exec producers on the show is a guy named Rob Bowman. And Rob directed the first Klingon episode on Next Generation, the one where the Klingons come and they try to take over the ship, or glory or something like that. And he went on to do X-Files, and I mean, really wonderful guy. And so I actually came in to read for another part as a doctor. And he didn't know that I was coming in there. And so when I get in there, he goes, and they said, okay, and the next actor is Michael Dorn. And he goes, what, Michael? Yeah, you know. And I think out of that, they said, hey, we like this other guy for the doctor, but we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? I said, well, what about Michael? So that's how it happened. Yeah, but it was, I gotta say, I've done, if you look on my IMDb page, I've done a lot of things since the show was over. Hello? Oh, there you go. But I gotta say that that was my favorite. I really loved that. It was like, you know, Castle and Stana, they're running around and shooting and police and this, and cases, and dead bodies, and stuff like that. And then at the end, there's this sexy scene with me and a hot woman. And they're talking and sensitive, and it was really sexy and well lit. And it was just, it was a great conversation, great writing. I told Rob, I said, hey, I saw one of the shows I did, they had a trailer, and I go, it looks like a movie. It looks like a real, not the trailer looks like a mystery, like a movie mystery. I said, it looks beautiful, so I really enjoyed it.
When I saw your name in the credits, obviously I was excited, and I was waiting for you. And in that last scene, like you said, did they consciously try to keep you in the dark for a while? No, it wasn't. Okay.
No, that's the style of the show. Right. That's the style of that particular scene that they did. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I am okay. I'm not that tall. Question about actually, how was it that you came to be in Star Trek 6, playing basically Worf's grandfather?
That was, once again, one of those weird kind of things. The producer, the director was Nick Meyer, who was one of the producers on the new Star Trek TV show. He had this idea of a prosecutor, and I don't know why they chose Worf, because it was a Klingon prosecutor. It could have been any Klingon. Didn't have to be, a Klingon defense attorney. And it could have been any Klingon. It didn't have to be me. But I think they were trying to connect the two shows together in terms of, they knew that at some point this was going to be their last show, and they wanted to have an homage to the new, and so they wanted to connect them like that.
Like the reference to Kittimer, because the final scenes at Kittimer and Worf's parents were killed.
Exactly. So I think that it was all this idea, and I was working on Next Generation, and the producer, set designer comes on the set with Nick Meyer, and they said I was in the middle or between scenes, and they said, "Oh, Michael, by the way, they wrote a part for you in the movie," and I went, "Oh, thanks," and they left, and I went back to my scene. That was it, But interesting, my publicist that I've had since those days told me something very interesting, and she reminded me of this funny story, is that Nick Meyer saw me, and I'm standing there, and I'm a Klingon, and he directed Klingons, I think he directed Search for Spock or one other, so he knows Klingons. And so they said, what about Michael doing? Great. So he comes by, meets me, I say hello, he leaves,